Hi YouTube, how you guys doing? My name's Straw Hat Izzy, aka the Izzy Cruz, if you follow me on Twitch, like the people that are watching me right now. And today I'm bringing you my top 4 blue hybrid deck list that I used in the GFG tournament last night. My only loss was to my Kryptonite, Dan Vang, shout out to him. And I just want to show you guys the decisions I made and why I think there's a lot of cool things you can do with blue hybrid, even though Ice Ball is at 1. So, we'll start with the baby cards. We played... Go ahead and adjust this camera. We played 4 copies of Upamon. I didn't feel like I need a 5th egg, and Upamon's just the best one because it draws cards, and it combos with another card in our deck, so that's why we chose Upa. Like, this card actually is just really, really good in combination with the other card. So I'll put him to the side just so we can talk about him later. From there, let's go ahead and talk about the rookie cards, because big fan. We played 4 copies of Strawbymon, so I'm just putting these upside down. This one I think is really cool. I don't think people should be cutting down on this one because it looks at the top 3 and adds a Tamer and a blue hybrid, a blue Tamer and a hybrid, right? And I think because it only looks at 3, it's worth playing the 4 because you can do these in succession and it's not that many cards being bottom decked in a row. So that's why I think you should play 4 of it. Really good searcher card. I played 4 copies of this Strawbymon. Now, I know a lot of people are cutting down on this card, but this card has a really cool combo in this deck that people don't know about, or it's not very popular. So I think you should be playing 4 copies of this card, just because the gain 1 memory is kind of relevant, and there's cool things we can do with that. So it's going to be another card I'm going to put to the side here for future combos. From there, I'm actually only playing 3 copies of this Strawbymon. Because we have this Strawbymon, and this card looks at less cards than this card, and this one takes better cards than this card, I decided to cut down on this one to play an extra one of the other one. So, as cool as I think this card is, its inheritable doesn't come up that often, like, fair amount does it, but I think the search is, like, really cool, so it's fine. From there, I played 2 copies of Madoki Betamon, which is, I wanted this card in my main deck, and by the way, this was a tournament where we could play with Mulligan and side deck, which I'll show you guys. I'm really happy with my side deck, actually. And it was a Floodgate that was good against everything except, like, purple-yellow. It's, like, very only okay. And for that, we just, like, decided one copy of this card out anyway. But even then, against, like, purple-yellow, you could still hit, like, Bokemon's Reinforce, Blinding Rays, so it was fairly strong. And then the last copy of the rookies in my deck was a copy of Nimon. So I chose not to play Bokomon because I felt like Bokomon got stopped by Madoki way too often. And Nimon is specifically really good in this deck because you play Tamers with Inheritables. The other reason I don't like Boko is because he has to stick for himself to be good, whereas this card gets you like immediate value, and it lets you swing like your Digimon like Kumamon or Korikaku with the Tommy under it without fear. Because then what you're allowed to do is like swing. If it dies, you get to play a Tommy from free from your trash, or any Tamer, because it plays any Tamer. And then you just strip 3 more sources, or you bring back a Memory Tamer or something crazy. So this card is really good, but I didn't want to play more than one of it because it is a white card that I can't really do anything else with. So, 1 copy of Nimon. He's the boy. I call him Nobu because he has... Nobu's known for his yellow hoodie and his red pants. So this is Nobu, and I guess this is me yelling at him. From there, let's talk about the champion cards. We played 4 copies of Kumamon, because this card's just better Lobomon, a little weaker, but a lot stronger. And 4 copies of Korikakumon, because this card's broken. I didn't feel I needed any other hybrids in the level 4 slot, like Kendo, or like New Kendo, or the Lobomon, because I felt like I recycled these cards enough, and I looped these cards enough, that it wouldn't matter. So, yeah. These were really strong. This obviously probably the best card in my deck, and I was really happy with this lineup. That's it for champions. For ultimates, 4 copies of Beowulfmon. I know a lot of people like to play 3 copies of this card, but I really, really like this card. Only because it can loop Korikakumon multiple times, which I'm going to put a copy of Korikaku to the side and a copy of Kuma for the combos. And yeah, it just gets to loop those cards, so you don't have to worry about like losing them. You get the aggression, you get to loop them, and you get to bounce something. So this card's really strong. I wouldn't recommend playing any less than 4 of this card. Like, super powerful. It might as well be like your boss monster in this deck, even though we do technically have a boss monster. And then the last 2 ultimates in my deck were 2 copies of Old Beowulfmon. This card is crazy in a lot of really... I think against literally anything except yellow-purple, this card's insane. Because it gets jamming. And the mirror. Like, you really kind of don't want this card in the mirror. Because they can just stun it, so that's whatever. But against those 2 decks, like, this card's okay. It's not amazing. But the fact that it has jamming is really strong, so you can hit into red hybrid without, you know, dying. And then on top of that, if this card has a hybrid or a blue tamer in its source, which it always will because all of your cards are hybrids of blue tamers, especially in the champion lineup, this card can't be attacked. So green literally has 0 outs to this card. Like, not a single one. They can't attack over it. They can't do whatever. They have to find a kill spell. And without green playing kill spells, this card just like does a million damage. And because of that, I chose to play 2 of it. I think it was really strong. I'm also going to put it to the side for combos. And then the last 3 Digimon in my deck were 3 copies of Magna-Garurumon. So this card's really cool, but I didn't feel like I used him a lot. But when I can use him, it's really cool. I definitely didn't use the Warp a lot, in the way that you would think. But this card was super strong, kind of. When I saw it, it was really good. When I didn't see it, I didn't really miss it. So, but I don't think I would cut down on playing it. Just 3 copies, not 4. You don't really need it. I think Beowulf's a better boss monster, but this card can help you finish out games and can be really good against the big Digimon, the level 6s that you usually don't have outs to. So, that's it. I'll put 2 copies aside for combos. And then that's it for Digimon. Next, we're going to talk about the Tamer cards, which are probably like the most important cards in the deck. 3 copies of Davis. Only chose to play 3 because, you know, you don't really need to search that often, but you want to still see a memory tamer, so you should play at least 3 of this card. And yeah, there's no really other better blue memory tamers. Like, you play Matt, but come on, it's Davis. It's Davis. He's good. Really good. Put 1 to the side for combos. From there, we played 4 copies of Tommy. People hate this card, and I understand why. This card's actually absurd. Strip 3, and then inheritable if you attack one of your opponent's guys without sources. It's just... this card's a little too strong. And then Nimon plays this card for free. Nimon brings back this card, so you can like recycle this card. If it's in security, it triggers. Like, Tommy's just way too strong, guys. Put it aside because combos probably should have been limited, to be honest with you. 3 copies of Soren Joe. This is another card that like gives you memory, and is another reason I didn't want to play like a lot of Bokomons or like Nimons. Is because if I leave a Nimon or Boko on board and I swing and it doesn't die, they just get free memory. Because I can't do anything else with that card. So yeah. In tandem, right? You can also like swing with something over Tommy, trigger Soren Joe, strip their sources, and then trigger Tommy's inheritable to like stun their guy, which is super strong. And then because their guy's stunned, if they don't evolve over it, then you're just guaranteeing yourself extra memory the following turn. Like, the combos are just so absurd with this deck. Put 1 to the side because combos. And then 3 copies of Koji. Guys, trust me. Trust and believe. This card's broken. Very, very strong card. So for those who don't know, plays in security when it's hit, obviously. Once per turn, you may play 5 cards with Hybrid in your hand under this tamer in any order to Digivolve into Magna-Garurumon for as if this card was level 5, right? And then its inheritable is when an effect adds a card to your hand, gain a memory. Then this Digimon can't be blocked for a turn. There are so many cool combos with this card in this deck. I kind of want to play 4, but I can't justify it being better than Tommy. On top of that, there's an interaction that I'm going to talk about that revolves around like a lot of the combos that you can do with Koji. And it's been ruled this way. I've had it checked multiple times. This card's absurd. So we'll put Koji aside for combos. From there, we played... that's it for Tamer cards. I think it was just 13. So from there, we played 4 copies of Hammer Spark. I like that this card is a defensive card in security. And then getting free memory is really good, right? To advance your plays. I didn't really like Howling Memory Boost because my opponent could see it coming or they could like play around it, and I already do enough stunning, so I didn't feel like I needed it. And then this card was just like really strong the whole day. So 4 copies of Hammer Spark. Then 1 copy of Ice Wall because it's at 1. There's no reason not to play it. Like if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. I think I bottom decked it every single game I played. Like every single game. I don't think I ever once resolved Ice Wall yesterday. So really good they put this card to 1, because if not, this deck would be really obnoxious. And then the last card in my deck was a copy of Starlight Velocity. This card's absurd. This card's so good. I did so many cool things with this card. So what it does is you can play a Tamer card or a Digimon card with Hybrid in its form from one of your Digimon's Digivolution cards as a Tamer or another Digimon without paying its cost. So the on-play still trigger, which is like actually absurd. So you can swing if it lives. You can play this card, bring out free Tamer, bring out free body, and then if it's in security, you play Koji from your hand or trash for free. So that's it for the main deck. Really good. I'll get to the combos post the side deck. So side deck, I was really happy with this, and there was a lot of cool interactions that came up. So when I typically side cards, I don't like to side like Silver Bullet type of cards. I like to side cards in which my opponent will put something in to counter my strategy, and I'm only going to put in cards that counter what they're trying to counter. So if they put in, let's say, Madoki Beta, I'm going to take out 2 copies of Hammer Spark so that I'm not hurt by that card as hard. And then I'm going to put in 2 copies of one of the cards I sided, which was Supreme Cannon. So this card says, return all of your opponent's Digimon at 3,000 or less DP to the owner's hand. Then if you have a Digimon with Garurumon in its name on field, it can be 5,000 or less DP, which is really good against wide boards such as like Purple. Truby Pop-Up is like a really good one that this is good against, so you can like kill their Truby they bring back 6 bodies, and then you go Supreme Cannon, bounce all of them back, and they have no board state. This card also triggers when in security. This card bounces Pokemons, Gazis, Terriermons, all the little Floodgate type of Digimon, right? So I think it's really strong. It can prevent lethal, and it makes it so that like I don't have 2 dead cards in my deck against their Floodgate, but I have 2 live cards against the majority of their strategy. So we play 2 of that. 1 copy of Absolute Blast. I don't think I ever sided this card, but in theory it's for like big tower decks like Diaboromon or something. To where like you strip all their sources and then you activate this card and then bottom deck, and you don't have to deal with it at any point in the game anymore. So it never resolved. I don't think I ever had to side it, so it's fine. 1 copy of Syakomon. Syakomon usually came in substitute for one of the Madoki Betas, because Syako is better against Yellow Hybrid than Madoki Beta is. So I would take out 1 copy of Madoki and put in a copy of Syako, and that was the even trade. It's also like fairly good into the mirror, and it's really good against green. Like really, really good, because you stop all their Digisorption type of things. You stop their JP, like reducing the cost, so they have to immediately deal with this card. Which like sometimes they can, but they have to do it for more than what they wanted to. And it deters them from killing your important bodies. So Syako is pretty good. From there I played 1 copy of Hexalab. This was for like wider type decks, I guess, and for like tower type decks where I could just like stun their guys, or like Justmon specifically, right? Like they'll Justmon bring up their guy, I'll get rid of all their sources, and then their whole board doesn't do anything, because then they have to wait to build a new Justmon, and then I'm just constantly hitting them with jamming. So really good card. I sided it and never saw it, I think. Yeah, and then the part that I'm really excited about, so the 5 cards that I wanted, because I needed something to be able to beat Yellow Hybrid. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do to beat Yellow Hybrid? So I sided 2 copies of Argomon, because being a Yellow Hybrid player myself, I know that the usual win condition is set up as many Tamers as possible, get to as much memory as possible, and then hybrid out from there. So if I can just let them play their game, constantly aggress, right? And then drop this to where they have to have Wyvern's Breath or Susanamon specifically to out this, because they can't do it with Shine, then I can win, because I give myself enough turns to lethal them with a crackback. However, this card, 1, has to be Digivolved over, and 2 is a green card. So I had to find a way to synergize this Floodgate type of card with my main deck. And to do that, I played 2 copies of Dino Beamon. This is the only, beside the Jamming Dino Bee, which is what this should have been, but I couldn't find my copies, so we played this one. I don't think it would have mattered in retrospect anyway, but if you want to do this, play the jamming one instead. This is the only green card that digivolves over blue Digimon that keeps its green properties. So, what I would usually do is I would side out the Beowulfmons against Yellow Hybrid, and side out 2 copies of the Magno, and then put in 2 copies of the Dino Bee and 2 copies of the Argo. Because this card I didn't really need for Yellow Hybrid, it was more of like something that wouldn't help me. And Magna you don't really need for Yellow Hybrid either. So you can side out 2 copies of it and be fine. But then I get this very powerful Floodgate, and I get this card that bridges my 2 engines. So, you know, it worked out really well. It helped in my yellow matchup in the last round I played. I wouldn't say it was like amazing, but it forced the Wyvern's Breath, so it did what it was supposed to do, and I didn't have to give up any of my engine to do it, because these cards are top end, and they don't help you win the game, they're just accessories to what you want to be doing. So, very strong. And then the last card of my side deck was a copy of Needhogmon. So, I would also side this against like green, kind of. If I felt like they were playing like more of a Tamer heavy type of thing, because green likes to attack, and then I just get to Needhog their board for free. And this was also part of a combo that I figured out a little later before I started playing the tournament, where I was like, oh, I can do this, and then it's crazy. Okay, so that's it for the deck profile. That's it for my side deck. I finished X1, so I only lost to Dan. I played against yellow, I played against green, red, played against another green deck, I played against red hybrid, and then I played against red hybrid again. So I played against 2 green, 2 red hybrids, 1 yellow, and then my loss was Dan Vang playing green-red. So, which is a favorable matchup for me, but then I realized Dan Vang is the pilot, so it didn't help. So, let's go ahead and talk about these combos. So, I'm going to start with this card, because majority of the combos revolve around Koji. The effect to play 5 hybrids from your hand to warp, you don't have to warp for some reason. It's ruled where you can just place 5 hybrids under this card, and you don't have to digivolve the Manigurumon. Because of that, in tournament, outside of tournament, I got to do really cool things like this, where I would have these cards in my hand because there's only so many eggs you can evolve over, and I don't usually like using them. I would tell my opponent, okay, I'm going to activate Koji, and they're like, okay, he's going to go into Magna. I'm like, I'm going to attach these 4 and then this one, right? And then like, okay, he's going to bring out Magna. I'm like, no, I'm just going to attach 5 pieces. They're like, what? Yeah, no, I'm just going to attach 5 pieces. It's fine. Then I'm like, okay, Digivolve to Korikaku, go to 1. And then, you know what? I'll Digivolve into my Beowulfmon for 1. Go to 0. Swing Beowulf, trigger Beowulf's effect, adding this card back to my hand, trigger Koji, gain a memory, trigger all 4 Strawbees, gain 4 more memory. So I got to gain 5 memory per swing, or like 3 memory, or like 4. Yeah, so it was crazy. And then this gave my Beowulf the ability to bounce like 4, 5, 6 cards, right? The other thing you can do too is if they have a guy, right? Or like if you don't want to bounce like Korikaku for some reason, you can swing this, trigger Strawbeemon to gain a memory, then trigger Beowulf to add back the Strawbee that you already used. Digivolve the Strawbee in the back for there, then trigger these and gain 4 more memory, or like 3 more memory, whatever you want to do in that way. So this interaction specifically is so good. So good, and hence why I played 4 of this, because if I had like multiples of it, I just gained X amount of memory every turn. Against green, I would hold these, so I would go like, alright, Digivolve to Koji, right? Let's say Korikaku, right, or like any other guy, and then we'll Digivolve to Beowulf, right? Against green, they can't attack this Beowulf, so you can swing Beowulf at security, trigger these cards, and gain 3 memory. And then you can do that every single turn because they can't deal with this card. And it has jamming, so it never dies to literally anything but a kill spell. So that is like a super cool interaction you can do, abusing Koji. Another thing you can do is, if you have a Digimon with Koji under it, right? So let's go this plus this. People already know you can do like Beowulf, add this, gain a memory. What most people don't realize is that if you have a rookie, you swing, trigger Upamon. Koji also triggers. Yes, Terriermon is a joke, actually, Eddie. Koji also triggers because you're adding a card to your hand. It doesn't care in what way you do it, it's just if you add a card. So because of that, Koji became a lot more prominent. So that was like a super cool combo. The other reason Koji was important is because I could go like, let's just use these 5 hybrids, right? And this like takes a little bit more memory, but it's kind of efficient. So you would have, let's just say like Soren, Joe, plus like Davis, right? Because that's the normal combo. They start at 5, whatever. You can go, and this was important for my side deck. You can go Korikaku, go to 3. Digivolve to Dino B, go to 0, and then Digivolve to Needhog, burst the bottom 4. So then you get to Needhog them off of just your Koji Tamer. So that is a really cool interaction I found out. And I think there's like a few more. There's like a bunch more. One of them is a combo with Starlight Velocity to where like you can have Korikaku under Tommy, right? So you can go Digivolve to Tommy, go to Korikaku for 2, swing Korikaku, stun something, place Starlight Velocity, or the usual combo is like this, because it usually revolves around Beowulfmon. So where it's like this, swing Beowulf, add back Korikaku, so you stun 2 cards, play Starlight Velocity, bring out the other Tommy, then Digivolve the Tommy into another Korikaku, and then like stun them again. So that's why this card is also important. Or you could do combos with Koji, where you'd have something like this, right? Like it would be Searcher Strawbymon. Anything over Koji, you don't care what it is. And then anything over the Strawbymon. Let's just say it's another, I know it's all over the place, sorry guys. Akumamon, right? You could go, okay, swing, swing, if it lives, whatever. If it doesn't live, it's fine. Or if you don't want to risk it, you can be fine. Play Starlight Velocity, bring out Strawby, like the top 3 cards of your deck, and then trigger Koji, because you add a card to your hand to gain a memory. You can do the same thing with this, to where, like, if you have this plus this, and then you Digivolve over your guy, you can do this, bring back your Davis, and then look at the top 3 cards, and then trigger Koji, making Starlight Velocity a 2-cost option. So, because of all the small interactions that you could do with the Koji combo, because of how this card works here, or I don't know if it worked like this in Japan and people just didn't try it or didn't want to test it. So, yeah, the last combo I think I'm going to show you guys is the Magna plus these guys combo. So, you warp to Magna, right? Assuming you have 4 memory, or whatever. Yeah, assuming you have 4 memory. You swing Magna, you trigger this Strawbymon, gain a memory. Then you trigger this guy, bouncing back the same Strawby you used. Then you trigger these guys, gaining 4 more memory. And then you would have like this underneath it, right? Then you play your Starlight Velocity, bringing out this Magna. And on your opposing turn, because they usually can't deal with 1, let alone 2, what you do is you swing this Magna, no effect, right? You swing this Magna, trigger the Strawby, gain a memory, add back the Magna, or add back the Strawby, trigger this Magna to restand, trigger Koji to gain a memory, trigger these guys, and then trigger this one to restand. So then you get to swing at them again. And yeah, that's like a Magna combo you can do to where you get double Magna on your turn, which is super cool. It's just Koji plus Starlight Velocity plus like the Magna stack. And yeah, that was my deck, guys. It's really good. It's really fun. And I think if you get really into the nitty-gritty of the combos, then you'll do really well with this deck. It is in contention probably for the best deck between itself and yellow-purple. And I think in a side deck format, it has a lot of chances. So that's my deck. You guys let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, YouTube buttons, Twitch stuff, you know. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.